Information fueled.
Opinion driven.
This is Nashville's Morning News with Dan Mandis.
And so, my fellow Americans,
we talk news.
7:07, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. And welcome on into your Thursday, January 9th. Man, a lot going on today. Yesterday, we found out a big prostitution ring, a brothel, they said, in Antioch. They've released the names of the guys who have been arrested. They're saying that they're Venezuelan. Local media is reporting they're Venezuelan. Gianfranco Augusto Berzante Morales, Felix Rafael Ortega, Elmer Humberto Arpecio Castillo, and two others. Now, it's my contention that if these guys are Venezuelan and they're running a brothel, they're running a prostitution ring, there's more than likely some trafficking going on here as well. I believe that it's probably Tren de Aragua. Now, that's my deal. We did ask Jack Johnson, Senate Majority Leader Jack Johnson. He said there had been concerns about Tren de Aragua. We've been reporting to you here on Nashville's Morning News that Tren de Aragua has been in every city, every major city here in Tennessee. Chattanooga, Knoxville, Memphis, of course, and Nashville as well. Don Aaron with Metro PD, he says that everything's fine.
There's no danger to the community.
Okay.
The community can be assured that our police department and our federal partners have been working diligently since last year to further this investigation, and we're taking it step by step, meticulously and methodically, and what you're seeing this morning is part of that.
Okay, so this looks to me, and TBI has come out and they've said that Tren de Aragua is here. They start with human trafficking, then they go on to organized crime and the rest of it. This is from Channel 13 in Memphis. Here's what they say.
And now what we are seeing is they are back. They are back in all of our major cities.
David Roush, director of the Tennessee Bureau of Investigations, warned Governor Bill Lee of the gang in a budget meeting last week and since published a video going more in depth. He claims TDA is involved in human trafficking in Tennessee, and based on its operation in other states, it'll soon expand into retail theft rings in the drug trade.
All right, so when Don Aaron says
there's no danger to the community,
I got to ask Cathy Hinners, DailyRollCall.com, who specializes in these kinds of things. I don't know. It sounds like, and it smells like, and it looks like, and the names are Venezuelan. It seems like it's a possibility that this is Tren de Aragua, but Don Aaron and Metro PD say that there's no danger to the community. Okay. What do you say?
I have such a problem with that. But the first thing is, yeah, that is, and we've talked about them before, that is like their number one MO, the trafficking. And a lot of the women, and I believe they did find some women in the house, they claim to be prostitutes, but we know that, TDA is bringing them over the border, then forcing them into prostitution. So obviously it has something to do with sex and human trafficking. And then you've got these 5 clowns that have serious felonies. One was implicated in a shooting at another brothel. And I hate, them calling it that. It just makes it sound so insignificant, dismissing the fact that what's really happening here. But, what they're doing is not helping the community, and what they're working with their federal partners when it's convenient, really. Because an interesting thing that is occurring now is what Metro Police and the Davidson County Sheriff's Office are not doing. And so the Tennessee, last year, a bill was signed into law, and the Tennessee District Attorney's General Conference has been preparing its first report to the government and state legislators on the cost to Tennessee taxpayers from illegals that have gone through the criminal justice system. Mm-hmm. Well, Metro Police has not cooperated with that. They have not given any reports yet regarding the, I'm going to call them illegal situation in the state of Tennessee and how much money it's costing us. So I guess the Davidson County Sheriff's Office has given them at least one report from October, but not enough really to determine the cost yet. But it just amazes me that we say they're not a threat to the community. Well, the violence that is attributed to the TDA, they just had 3 men killed in a brothel here a few months ago, which one of these guys was implicated in that. So I don't know how they're not a threat. And then we know Denver police has received a threat from TDA, pretty much, saying, watch your back. So they are a threat to the community. And we keep insisting that this is a good thing. And then the other thing that bothers me, clearly on the Nashville.gov website, if you go to where the police department is, there's questions asked about the police's role in, talking to these immigrants, what their status is. And Metro Police clearly states on the website that it is not law enforcement. It's irrelevant. Federal law enforcement in immigration status is irrelevant. They clearly state that they believe that immigration enforcement is solely the function of the federal government. I get all that, but then to say that we're, teaming up with the feds to help, solve these cases, it really isn't true. Metro Police will inquire what country people are from, but they will not talk about their status.
Right.
And it's just, we can't do that, it's like, it's just insane.
So how do we find out the official status of these 5 as far as they're Venezuelan? I don't know if this was a catch and release kind of a situation. I don't know if they just snuck in undetected. I don't know. We know that the borders have been wide open. And we all know, and I've gone through it many times over the past couple of years, what Tren de Aragua is all about, a vicious gang that specializes in, they start out in trafficking, and then they go into drugs and violent crime and the rest of that. You said one of these guys had been implicated in was it a triple homicide?
Yeah, 3 men were found murdered in another brothel a few months ago in Nashville area. So, and there's been, there was one down in Chattanooga where the one man arrested was obviously TDA. Mm-hmm. So it is occurring here, so to just label it prostitution ring or brothels is kind of disturbing. But, when you go back to the vetting process, Department of Homeland Security supposedly has implemented what they're calling an enhanced vetting process, supposedly to vet the individuals before they even arrive at the border. Mm-hmm. But we know that, the information from the vetting is only as good as the source. And with the level of corruption, in the South American governments, we have no idea how their vetting process works. But we know that they're here. As a matter of fact, I believe the top 3 leaders that are from Venezuela supposedly are somewhere in America. And they've issued, the Justice Department, I believe, and Homeland Security have issued a $12 million bounty for those 3 leaders that are supposedly in this country. So, to say, I just have a problem with the way that we're, are we covering it up and then saying that there's no, risk to the public when we know we've called these Venezuelan, TDA a version of ISIS because they do dismember people, after they shoot them, right, or prior to shooting them, that they dismember them, so it's really just such violence, and yet we don't want to seem to let the public know that there's this threat there and what to look for. Well, and part of my question, I can't. 7:15, Cathy, hold on. I've got a question for you coming up, but got to check the roads right here on WTN. Weather today, high of 35, right now 17 degrees. Sunny skies. Of course, the snow is going to start early tomorrow morning. Your complete forecast is coming up at 7:30 here on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. Cathy Hinners is joining us talking about this, and I'm air quoting this brothel, this prostitution ring in Antioch yesterday. The 5 names that the police have released, word is that these guys are Venezuelans. You put 2 and 2 together. We know that Tren de Aragua is in Tennessee. That has been well documented by this show and others, I'm sure. The local government, they're not saying, though, that this is Tren de Aragua. So how do we find out if this really is this gang that came out of the Venezuelan prisons? They came across our southern border. They're in Tennessee. The TBI director has even said that they're in Tennessee.
How do we find out that this is actually Tren de Aragua? Because seems to me like nobody's talking within the police.
I don't know that we'll ever know. Once again, it's like what the FBI does. You just don't come out and ever say that they're related to this terrible, gang that we have, or cartel. I would even define them as a cartel. But, when you look at their charges and things, promoting prostitution, there were some other charges. I think there's a drug and some gun charges. So obviously you're dealing with a gang that, like you said, furthers itself after it does the initial human trafficking. But, we've got a lot. The DA in Nashville has been known to be kind of soft. So we have to worry about, how good is the conviction or even the prosecution going to be? Are they going to come out of jail? Are they going to, will bail be set? Because we know a lot of the judges believe in setting bail for crimes that they never should be setting bail for. And Nashville is notorious, Davidson County is notorious for being soft. I mean, they claim to be a sanctuary city, which doesn't help anything. They don't have official policies there to be a sanctuary city, but they do use that term. So I see a whole lot of problems, and I don't know that we'll ever know, but I think it doesn't take rocket science to figure out men from Venezuela with prostitutes who probably were forced into prostitution and God knows what else. I think that's kind of what you get from this story.
Well, Nashville, Tennessee, of course, we have a big human trafficking problem in this town anyway.
Yeah, and it never really comes out, but the human trafficking across Tennessee has been noted for a number of years now. One good thing, it's being reported in the Tennessee Conservative outlet that Governor Lee is beginning preparations for mass deportation. Of course, he's facing backlash from the Tennessee Immigrant Refugee Rights Coalition. But I'm starting to think we need to be looking at who's funding these organizations. We know Catholic Charities is funded by our own state legislature, but Turk is, kind of questionable. They're the ones that promote, neighborhoods to protect the ones that they do know that are illegals. And so,
what do you think is going to happen to these? What do you think is going to happen to these five?
I don't think they'll be tried and prosecuted and convicted and put in our jails. If they are, but then they're a burden to the taxpayers being in our jail and prison system. So not even the prison system, but actually, if they're in our jails, our local jails.
Well, it's kind of interesting because you were talking about this earlier, where the local news stories, the ones that I've heard, it's like, yeah, there was a brothel in Antioch and five guys, with Venezuelan names have been arrested. And it's like, okay, what? There's got to be more, right? And that's what is very frustrating is that oftentimes, maybe sometimes there is, but oftentimes they don't go into the deeper conversation about what this really means as far as illegal immigration, what is coming into Tennessee. Of course, we all know that Joe Biden, I hold him personally responsible for some of this stuff. Yeah. Alejandro Mayorkas as well. The website, if you want to find Cathy Hinners, it is dailyrollcall.com. Cathy, as always, appreciate you being with us here on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. And just remember,
there's no danger to the community.
There's no danger to the community.
Sure.
Thanks, Don. 7:20 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Dan Mandis here for Brentwood Jewelry, a great local company that has been giving back for over 50 years. Now, the Imam Ali family is full of heroes. They own Brentwood Jewelry, and the family patriarch, Salem, he actually served in special forces. His sons do serve as local firefighters. Now, this is a great American family. Now, part of that, of course, is the part of that giving back is giving you great deals on all things jewelry, from watches to earrings, necklaces, and definitely engagement rings. They'll help you find the perfect ring within your budget. And if you can't find what you want, they're going to customize a ring for you and your loved one. Now, as far as those incredible watches go at Brentwood Jewelry, those Rolex watches, they are amazing, pre-owned or new. Brentwood Jewelry is Nashville's premier timepiece dealer. Brentwood Jewelry is the official jewelry store of my house, and you should check them out today. 7012 Church Street East, located in the heart of Brentwood, just off Franklin Road. Exceptional style, exceptional deals every day for over 50 years. BrentwoodJewelry.com. It is 7:22 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN, and Joan Jones has the news. Coming up at 7:30. Joan, what you got?
Yeah, we have snow coming for sure. We'll tell you what time the party gets started. Coming up at 7:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.